Hello, hello.
Hey,
Hello.
hey.
Hi, Jess. How are you?
Me pan.
Hey, Jess.
How you doing? How you doing? Took's got a lot to say this morning. He keeps meowing at me. Meow. What you want, buddy? What you want? Hmm? What do you
Oh,
want, my love?
cute too.
How are all of you doing? I'm not too bad. Woke up feeling pretty good today. See how long
Yeah.
that lasts. Whoa. Oh, sorry, bud. Didn't mean to scare you.
That is a great news.
Yeah, it is great news. I'm happy. I ate a yummy yogurt. That made me feel really full. I don't know why.
Hell yeah.
But whatever. I'll take it. How about you guys? How you doing?
Fantastic. Been a pretty
Give
good
me
day
one
overall.
second. I'm posting the announcement that we live on the Discord, and I'll be right there mentally with you guys.
Okay. You're all good. Oh, I meant to check this. How was the weekend? I had a good weekend.
Really was a good weekend.
Went to Seoul on Saturday. Got my hair did.
Ooh, did you bring any snacks?
I didn't, but I ate a really yummy food. Oh, really yummy food. Good sentence. I'm so proud of you. I went to Outback.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, because there's an Outback Steakhouse in the... Hey, thank you so much for the follow. Welcome to the stream. How you doing? There's an Outback in the bus station. And I was like... It's funny because I went to Outback because I was craving a Caesar salad. I know it sounds weird, but I knew that I would need to go to like an American restaurant in order to get anything close to a Caesar salad. So I went and I got a Caesar salad as a side, and it was still a disappointment because it wasn't at all a Caesar salad. It was a house salad with Caesar dressing. And I was just like, this isn't a Caesar salad though. They're different. They're different, Korea.
Nice try, but no.
Yeah, so it was fine. The Caesar dressing at least tasted like Caesar dressing, so I kind of got that craving
Well, at
filled.
least it wasn't sweet.
Yeah, I would have raged.
Right?
The butter on my potato was sweet though. I was real upset about that. I was like, why did you put this sweet ass butter on a potato?
Why is the butter
Seriously.
sweet?
Everything's sweet. I'm telling
Oh,
you.
why?
I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, I think I would have a problem with that because I really like my savory shit.
Same.
Exactly.
I love savory stuff. I'm not a big
Like
sweets person.
I like the umami and the sweet together as a combo. I think it is a good combo, but
But
not
not all the
everything.
time.
Yeah.
Yeah. Took a big old bite of I don't know if it was butter or sour cream. It looked like there was sour cream on it, but it was sweet. But I was like, ooh, this is gonna be good. I had a little baked potato with like sour cream and cheese and bacon. And I took a big old bite of it and I was like,
Hell no.
I didn't even eat it. I was like, fuck that potato. Like, but yeah, I don't know. I don't know what's wrong with Koreans sometimes. But anyway, so I had a really good lunch. Or I guess dinner at that point. It was dinner time. So yeah, my weekend was good. What about you guys? And then, of course, we had the session on Sunday.
Saturday. Oh yeah. Well,
Oh,
Sunday for you.
yeah.
Saturday for us. For me.
Yeah. Sunday for me here in the future.
Yeah, you're in the future, so you're ahead of us. Yeah, Memsy is like halfway. Memsy's like halfway through between us, me, and Steve, and you,
Yeah.
Jenna.
It's like halfway into the future.
Yeah, he's halfway into the future. Not as ahead of us. Wow, I can't
Yep.
talk. I need to wake up. I'm gonna open this Red Bull right now, and I'm gonna start drinking
Some
this.
wake up juice. No, mine was good. After the RP on Sunday, I just hung out, watched some fireworks, got a little stoned, and just chilled. So it was a really good and relaxing weekend.
Nice.
Yeah, I slept most of the day yesterday, and then I woke up, and then I spent like a lot of time on Dead by Daylight. And yeah, got some stuff done there. So I'm satisfied.
Cool.
I wasn't supposed to sleep, I was supposed to be awake, but it's fine. We'll adjust my sleep schedule another time.
And then mess it up
That
again.
can wait. It's not important.
That can wait because honestly, like it gets fucked up every like other day, so it's okay. Like I
Truth.
adjust it one day and then the 2 days
Yep.
after it's already fucked. So I'm like, it's
Exactly.
not
Just kind of accept
At
it
this
at this
point.
point.
Yeah, at this point I honestly I'm like, you know what? Fuck it.
Just gonna go with it. And that's what's gonna happen to
What
me.
it is. Yep.
I'll sleep through the night tonight, and I'll probably be up all night tomorrow.
There's
Yeah.
There's nothing I can do with that, unfortunately.
What
But,
can you
oh, well.
do? The night just calls to us.
Yeah.
Well, got distracted. This episode, let's talk about it.
Yes.
I guess we'll start out how we always do, and we'll talk about our favorite moments. And as always, those of you hanging out in the chat, feel free to toss in your answers to the questions or anything that may come up during the conversation. Oh God, hello.
Hi, cookies.
That was pretty aggressive. So let's start out with Finn today. What was your
Yes.
favorite moment of the stream?
Obviously. There is one obvious moment that I really, really enjoyed. And it was like, after we talked about how this season is going to be a little bit different and whatever, I had already ready it. Like, I already knew what I wanted to do. And I think, like, the little moment of, like, mundanity and, like, just complete, like, this is just a regular thing that everybody would do with Ashley and her, like, little gossip girl time was my favorite during the entire, like, episode. It just makes the characters feel so real.
I agree.
Like,
It really does.
it's not just, like, a badass vampire with powers that, like, fights, like, bad guys or whatever. It's like,
yeah.
no, this character has a life. Like, she has her feelings, she has her passions, and like that moment made it feel very real. And like it's a very big change from like last season that was all like bam 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 bam, and like this season that it's like a lot slower. We're taking our time to again develop these relationships amongst us and stuff like that. It's like the moments like that I have with Sparta too, with Steve, right? Like I love those moments because they're just like us bonding and like having fun and stuff. So yeah, that was definitely my favorite moment for sure.
Yeah, I agree, and I'm glad that you guys are like already enjoying that, and it's only like the second episode, because that I knew going into this, and I touched on it a little bit with you guys like privately and in a couple of the podcasts. I've mentioned that I wanted the feel for this season to be a lot different and to kind of just slow things down and focus on your characters and Because obviously we got to know your characters through the first season, but we didn't really get to showcase them in any other way other than what they were dealing with in that current moment.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And obviously,
Which is fine.
yeah,
but...
it's fine.
Yeah.
And it fit to like the setting
What was
of
going
last
on.
season. Right.
Mhm.
You know what I mean? But it was fine that it was that way because last season it was very like urgent. There was a lot of urgency to the situation. There was a lot of unsurety and different things like that. So it like kind of made sense that it was that way. But it's not necessarily like that anymore, especially with like the setting that I'm creating with like the main group that is like going to be in the focus, which is the purist. There's not a lot of urgency with them as there is with like Isaiah and Imani and all of the shit that was going on. So it's easier to just kind of chill and relax and to focus on kind of your characters and the story and things like that. So yeah, I had a lot of fun too, like kind of seeing that unfold and like what you wanted to do with it. You know what I mean? Because those moments are really up to you guys to create. It's not, you know, I'm just kind of there to help you along the way. If there's like an NPC or something that you're wanting to interact with, that's really all I'm there for at that point. That's more so up to you to create, like, what do you want us to know today, or what do you want to dive into? And I think one thing that showed a lot of that we didn't get to see last season was, like you said, like she has feelings. She's a, it's weird because it's like we think of these vampires as like these like immortal beings that are just like stone cold, that like have, they're just like, they just exist forever and ever and ever and ever, and they don't react or have any effect. The world has no effect on them, and that's not necessarily the case. You know what I mean? Like,
it is definitely not the case. They might be immortal, but they still, like, I don't know, they still have feelings.
Yeah,
you
they
know?
can cry, Nikolai. They
Yeah.
cry blood tears, though.
They cry blood.
Yeah, because everything in their, like, all of their organs are full of blood. They're not, like,
Yeah.
they're not, like, regular organs anymore. And so when they cry, like, when they vomit, everything like that, it's all blood. But yeah, they can cry. And when they do, it's weird.
It's messy.
Yeah.
Oh.
It's not normal.
And fun fact, in season 1, I think all 3 of our characters actually cried at one point or another.
Cried so fucking much on season 1.
Cried a lot. Definitely cried a lot. But yeah, no, I think that is fun. It's fun to be able to have those moments. What about you, Mimsy? What was your favorite moment of the episode? Sounds messy. Yeah. Are you talking? Because I can't hear you.
Yeah, we can't hear you.
Hello?
Ah, there we go.
There you
go.
I think it's a constant plotting to get rid of certain things.
The pigeon plotting.
The shit pigeons.
Sorry, I'm calling Peter on your asses.
Oh, you don't even know.
Nope. Some surprises ahead.
I just picture Max having to train pigeons throughout the whole season. He has to keep bringing in new ones.
Favorite moment was when Nick's telling Max the pigeons need to fuck off.
At the house, you mean?
No, but she
What time?
didn't say that the
I
pigeons
didn't
needed to
even
fuck off.
say that. I literally didn't even say that.
No one has said that. I think the only one that's even gotten close to saying that is Colette.
Yeah, I think the only one that really was like, can we like stop using the pigeons?
Yeah.
But she never said like get the fuck.
Oh, in the
You
text
emoted
RP.
it. Oh, in the text RP, you mean?
Because I think you did in the text RP.
Yeah, no, in the text RP,
With
like
Ashley.
we
Yeah.
have like the pigeon impossible going
Yeah,
on.
yeah. Pigeon Impossible.
It's so on point. Shut up.
What about you, Steve? What was your favorite moment?
Definitely everything at Lizzie's. Like the whole bringing her flowers and then going through the whole ceremony with, and then Kendra being all welcoming and everybody else being sus as hell of us.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my god, the moment Nyx came through and the like completely like broke
Cleared
the room.
the fucking
Like
Yeah.
cleared
room.
it.
Started talking about fashion and everybody's like, okay, we're gonna go now. And Lizzie
Oh
just
my
punching
God.
Sparta on the arm when he brings her flower seeds. She's like, aw, shucks. Yeah, that whole thing was, like you said, it showcases a different side, like just the normal side of things.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because they're not always dealing with some life-threatening catastrophe.
No, it's not.
yeah.
We didn't deal with like any of that, like nothing of that sorts for 2 years, you know, like that's what was cool about having the 2 year transition too.
Mm-hmm.
Is that like we could, you know, have this time to imagine who our characters would have been, right?
Exactly. And it shows that our characters are becoming like a part of something that's just normal. And they're being accepted for that.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Jess, with the thing that happened with that, Nyx never said that the pigeons had to go. They were just trying to get him to use a fax machine. And I'm pretty sure
No.
both of them at multiple points were like, you can still keep your pigeons, just use this as well.
Mm-hmm.
And then the reason why there was a blow up is because Max overreacted and then Nyx got pissed off. And
Oh yeah, I got pissed off because it was the disrespect of like having us waste time there for us to bring a fax machine to then like get it destroyed, which Nyx like hated.
yeah.
I still love that. I still love that Memsy Max broke the floor. That cracked me up.
That was funny, but yeah, like that was the whole thing. But I want to go back and like watch that scene, but I'm honestly 99% sure that I was like I worded in a way where I knew what I was dealing with, and I wanted to make a point that the pigeons didn't need to go. It was just an added thing. The fax machine was an added thing to the equation. I was like, if you want to reply with pigeons, use the fucking pigeons, you know, but at least we can like forward a message first without having to be like, oh, we need a pigeon here to send over when there's only two. You know what I mean? So I still like that moment. That moment, it was hilarious.
Yeah, my throat kind of still hurts after that.
I think for me, I think my favorite was with Ashley and Nyx and like seeing that sort of like unfold and like their friendship and like what it is. Cause I just imagine them like being really good friends by now, like after 2 years of being in the same city. And Ashley, like from the very start, was very much like, I'm gonna like take you under my wing. Even though like Nyx probably isn't necessarily the kind of girl she like navigates to, because I do feel like Nyx and Ashley are so different, but like their friendship works anyway. And
it's like I imagine like Nyx being like right in between like Ashley and Penelope.
Yeah.
It's like right that middle ground. She's like
yeah,
right in
she
the
can
middle.
relate to both, and that's what's good about her.
Yeah.
Is like, even though she's not like full on Ashley, she can at least like relate to Ashley, and she kind of like slinks into that. Like, you can see like when she's around Ashley, she like acts a little bit more like Ashley.
Yes.
And so it works, you know what I mean? So
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
they're alike enough to where they can at least relate and get along and have a good friendship.
Yeah.
And not like butt heads and stuff. So but yeah, so like I just imagine them having this like really fun friendship, and like you said, like this like Gossip Girl moment of being like, oh my god, and like and Ashley's like, of course, all about that life, and she's like soaking it up, and now she's like on this mission in Portland. Like, she fucking got on a plane like an hour later. But yeah,
oh my God, it's so fun.
But yeah, so that was a lot of fun to kind of see how that unfolded, and yeah, it's funny. I think it's cute.
I love it.
What was I gonna say? A lot of what we did, to be honest, like looking back at the episode, a lot of what we did was more so like focused on your personal lives.
It really was.
That was majority of the episode. But
yeah, I think like there was a good chunk on the shopping spree, and then a good chunk on the little ritual thing, and then we ended up like dealing with Scarlet.
Yeah.
Coming back.
Cool.
And going to checking out this new like spot that apparently they were like congregating at as like a safe like meeting spot or whatever. But like as far as like investigation goes, like, and like, you know, the whatever that type of like thing, yeah, we didn't do much, but
It was more like a casual investigation.
Yeah. But I feel like that's what the vibe of this season is going to be. It has to be a slower thing, because like we said multiple times, it's not that we're dealing with kindred here. We're not dealing amongst each other. We're dealing with the people that we're hiding our identities from. We need to be smart. We need to be slow. We need to take our time. We need to think. It's like a very long and layered game of chess.
Yep.
You know? So you can't really rush it, because if not, like, you might end up really, really fucking up.
Yeah, making some big
On-shoot
mistakes.
doesn't work in this case.
Yeah.
No, it's definitely a strategic approach for this season. Speaking of strategic approaches, let's talk about... Well, first we'll talk about Scarlet, since that happened first. So Scarlet shows up and is heavily injured and close to death, but she did sort of achieve some sort of a goal with you guys and getting Charlie's phone.
Which was great.
What do you... I know, because you've hinted at it and you've introduced the idea in text RP. What do you guys want to happen to Scarlet? Hi, Bubby.
Oh, Nyx is definitely going to adopt her.
Well, I want her to be mine.
In what capacity? Like, are you wanting her to be a ghoul, or are you wanting to turn her and make her kindred?
Well, I want her to be a ghoul.
Okay.
I think, like, she would have a better time, like, being a ghoul, like, for me, than being with those fucking assholes, to be honest. So, yeah. I would love her to be a ghoul. And then who knows? Like, I mean, I feel like if a goal is around enough and has proved their worth and whatever, they're always like good candidates in case, like, the prince gives their permission to be turned and to become your childer. But I don't think she would necessarily have a childer right now because she's so young as a vampire.
Yeah.
Plus, if you make a goal, your human age is frozen. So like you stay that age forever until like either you stop drinking blood or like you get turned. So it's almost immortality in a way as well.
It is. It's like, but it's more temporary than like being actually embraced.
Yeah.
Because it can go away.
Yeah, it can go away in a certain amount of time.
Yeah, once you like stop feeding and break the bonds and all that kind of shit. But yeah.
I think like she definitely, like, especially because like she has the club right now, going on. Like Nyx is about to like try to again like make that clothing thing happen as well. So like she's going to have a lot of things happening at the same time, and having a goal or a few goals, it would probably be beneficial for her at this point. Like to have somebody like really, really close that like knows is exactly 100% what it is, the situation, and that can maybe handle like the humans at the club or like, business and stuff whenever Nyx is not, for example, awake.
Yeah.
Because a goal is awake during the day. So they could handle like the daily things that Nyx wouldn't be able to handle, for example. So yeah, I did hint at it. I asked Colette. And yeah, I guess we're gonna probably be starting with that next week.
Yeah, it'll definitely be something we
an
talk
official
about in
appointment with,
with
Colette. So
yeah. But yeah, I think that is kind of a unique situation that I wasn't expecting to happen with this random NPC that I created. But I think it's a cool way of kind of advancing stories in different ways, you know what I mean? Which is like what we're all about this season is, creating opportunities for yourselves. And with this Scarlet character is just another way to create another little story, with somebody that I just thought would be this throwaway character that, I made up on the fly. And now she's like...
Now she's here forever.
She's a favorite, and she's gonna become a part of a little team.
Since you started talking as her, I was like, oh my god, I love this character. Plus, I really like the name Scarlet. I think it's a really
It is a really cute name. I like that name a lot.
Yeah.
It's definitely
it's
cute.
so on the nose, Scarlet, blood, it's Scarlet. But I was like, it's just so cute. I love it.
Can't get rid of some people that quickly. Yeah, that's true. But no, I think it's kind of cool. And I think that she also will be a good asset. You know what I mean? Because even though she's not necessarily in the purist anymore, she still was with them long enough to know enough about them, to know the kind of shit that they do and different things that different trends that they have and stuff like that. You know what I mean? So she can definitely still be helpful. Ronaldo is similar. He wasn't around in the beginning, but he turned up later. Yeah, Ronaldo originally was going he originally
I would say
was
it's like more Colette. Like Colette was originally like just gonna chill there for like a few nights, and then it ended up being her who stuck around and like
became
very
important
big deal. She became a very big deal during the first season.
And when I made Colette, she was supposed to be there for basically the first episode. That was it.
And she became the coterie mom.
and now she's
And
the
now
sheriff.
the sheriff. Yeah.
So yeah,
Yeah.
I guess that just happens sometimes. You don't realize
Once we get
certain
attached to a
characters.
character.
Yeah, certain characters are just gonna stick. But it works, and I'm fine with that. So, and I think Scarlett is awesome. So she's funny. She's a funny character. Like, I like how she talk, even like as she's like about to die, she's like, but I got Charlie's phone. You're welcome. Like, still sassy and funny, and then just like falls over dead. Basically.
I love it. I love her. I love
You're
the
welcome.
sass. It's gonna be so...
But yeah, she's gonna be funny to kind of see continue to develop. And like I said, I didn't expect that at all. But hey, that's fine with me. I'm down with it.
And I feel like, you know, like she, again, because she has that and she has the background of like being in a cult, like dealing with guns and like dealing with investigations and stuff like that and doing this kind of shit, like she would actually be probably a good goal already because she's used to doing that kind of like work.
She's already done it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I definitely think she would kind of fit into that role. But I think that like framing it in a way of being like, you're not a prisoner because that's how she felt like with the purist, is like, I'm a prisoner, I'm just kind of like stuck here and I have no choice in the matter. So I think how like you handle that with her will be kind of what makes or breaks the situation of her being like, okay, I'm just going from one situation to the next, but it's the same damn thing just with different people, you know.
No, girl, it's fun over here. I have a club, dude.
But not only that, but
dancing.
I mean, when you make a ghoul, it does sort of, it does in a way take away some of their free will, so to speak.
Yeah, especially with the bonds.
Yeah, because the bond makes them sort of bonded to you, but they don't necessarily fight it. Like, they embrace that as their own a lot of the time. You know what I mean? Like, they see that as that weird infatuation that happens in that bond. They see that as their own, and it's like natural for them. They don't necessarily fight it or recognize that something is weird is happening. You know what I mean? Yeah. So it's like it takes it away, but at the same time, like it still benefits you because it's like they have this like loyalty, unquestionable loyalty to you, and it comes from within their own being. So it's a unique situation, like blood bonds in general with humans and with other vampires. It's definitely a unique situation. What was I gonna say? Oh, so that's that bit with Scarlett. So we'll see what ends up happening with Scarlett throughout the rest of the season. Because at this point we don't even know if she's alive. She could have died. Did you say she's alive?
I hope she's alive.
Oh, okay.
I hope she's alive.
And because she was taken by Lena, who, if you read through the text RP that I did with Steve, you would have figured out who Lena was. I think we mentioned her name in there.
Yeah, she was a high up officer. She's
the chief of police, I believe. Or wait, did I get them mixed up?
Yeah, Lena
she's
is
the detective.
Under the chief. Yeah, she's the detective.
She's the head of the detective team or whatever. That like Colette went and like threatened, basically. Would hate for something to happen to you before we make a new deal with your boss. Colette's like, I will fucking eat you right now. And everyone in this room. Watch me.
No worries with that.
But yeah, so there are a handful of like humans on like the police force that Colette works with, that Lindsay also used to work with and have connections with, so that like when shit happens, you know, and they need support from like the human side, they can just like call those people. And Lena is one of them. And basically Lena tried to cross Colette and was working with some of the purists. And Colette was kind of like, you really want to do this? Is this really the decision you want to make? Are you sure? Because I think you're fighting with the wrong team here. And so Lena that's who that was. And then the other chick I just kind of made up as being like this medical person that like if like a ghoul or something needs medical aid, they can kind of do it like hush hush without having to like bring them to like a major hospital or something that's gonna like draw a lot of attention to them. Because I felt like that kind of made sense. Like ghouls probably get hurt in these situations and need medical aid and shit.
Yep.
You know, so it's like you don't want to be bringing them like, oh, this guy's gonna die, let's bring him to the hospital. Like, no. But you gotta have somebody that's gonna sort of be that
Patch up
in
your
between.
ghouls.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like, this makes sense for them to have some sort of like medical person.
Yeah, they definitely would have some sort of contact within the police and within the medical system in case some shit like that happens, especially with the goals, for sure.
Yeah.
Because you don't want to go to, oh, how do you have two like fucking gunshot wounds?
Yeah.
Like
They ask too
And
many
you're not
questions. Yeah. Because
And
ghouls are a little bit stronger than like a regular human. They can take more damage. They also heal faster.
yes.
But they're obviously not like on the level of like a vampire, so they can still die
I imagine
easily.
that blood work would be kind of odd. Like
Right?
something odd would show up in their
like-
fucking like blood readings, like, and be like, oop.
You're supposed to be like 80 years old, but you look 20? Wait, what?
Yeah, exactly. So, so yeah, I think, what did we name her? Susan, I think.
Susan, yeah. Susan is the medical.
So that's where Scarlett is. She's with Susan. Hopefully alive. We'll see. Soon, TM. But then you guys decided to go and investigate this location, little rendezvous spot from Charlie's phone that, like I said, even though Scarlett didn't really get all of the stuff that you guys wanted from her, she at least pulled through a little bit and got you something.
Well, she gave us a bunch of like phone numbers and like
like I think a lot of
like,
valuable information came.
I would say so.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So you guys went to this rendezvous point. Ended up being some sort of weird business that was like not labeled. It was seemed like just like some weird office space that maybe was being rented out. And you guys sent Max in because he was the only one that didn't have a profile on the people. So let's talk a little bit about that situation and what all went down, and what do you guys think will come of it? Because that I'm kind of interested to see what do you guys think's going to happen next, based off of the RP that happened with Max and Christopher was his name.
Yeah, Christopher.
Yeah, Christopher.
So Mimsy, what was Max's goal when he went into this place? Like, what were you thinking in that moment of like, this is what Max is gonna do?
You want to find out how much of a danger it was. Obviously, didn't got a chance to see inside. I think it was mostly information gathering.
Okay.
I'm still trying to wake up.
So, what kind of information do you think he gathered from that interaction?
It's gonna be a difficult point to attack because of how close it is to mortal spots like bars, motels, stuff like that. You can't bash in guns blazing in there without it looking suspicious.
Well, I don't think that was anybody's plan. I don't think anybody was planning on attacking it to begin with. Um, I mean, it would be foolish to think you can attack any business in the French Quarter. French Quarter is just too busy.
Yeah, unfortunately.
If you're like maybe out in the outskirts of town or something, then it might be a little bit easier. Um,
I, I think it was more for him to try to find out how many people were in there and try to gather that type of information because, yeah, we got Scarlet. Who else do we have in there? What could potentially happen?
um, so you had this whole long conversation with him about the building and turning it into some sort of business. And that sort of like snowballed into what it was. Um, and then you asked him to come with you. So what exactly at that point, what exactly was Max trying to achieve then? Cuz that for me as like in that moment I was like what's happening? Like what's going on? And I was curious as to like what was your goal in like what is Max trying to achieve with him being like follow me basically and
The goal was
mesmerizing him.
actually to kidnap him. But then I remembered the trackers,
Gotcha.
which kind of like put a stop to the original plan. Like, whoops, these guys got trackers. I don't know what understand what a tracker is, but I think I gathered enough information to know what a tracker is.
Yeah, no, we explained it to Max what a tracker
Yeah,
was when
With Scarlet.
Scarlett, yeah, when Scarlett commented on it.
Mhm. So let me ask you this. The conversation that Max had in the business before you asked him to come with you. Do you believe the conversation that took place you received enough, if any, information to even confirm who Christopher was?
no, his name was Christopher. That was about it.
Okay.
Which like situations like that makes me scream internally because Max doesn't really have investigation skills, and there is another character sheet in my PC right now that would be fucking knowing the question. So he's not a cop. So that was
He
like,
wasn't sent in there to investigate, though. And you don't need investigation skills to have a conversation. You don't need a skill sheet that has investigation dots to be able to ask the right questions to identify if this person is a threat. Because this is the conclusion that I came to as storyteller, and I am going to literally roll a dice to determine what happens with Christopher going forward, because you made no effort at any point, anybody did, to identify who Christopher was, if he has anything to do with the purist, if he was just some random dude in a random business hanging out with his friends and some random ass dude shows up at 2:00 in the morning and start talking about tacos and burgers and drunk people.
He's gonna show up at the meeting
And then asks him to go outside because he thinks he's gonna have sex with him and his friends in the car, and a bunch of weird shit goes down.
Oh my god.
He's gonna show up at the meeting with all the information we ask, and it's gonna be on his accounting buddies.
Yeah, it's just gonna be like, well, we run this fantasy football group, and like, so
like, I found out the history of this building. I don't know if you're interested in that.
So that's the funny thing I think of this whole situation is, don't get caught up on the fact that you need investigation skills. He wasn't sitting there to investigate. He was sitting there to just have a conversation and scope the place out.
Yeah.
That's it. Like, yeah. I mean, you could have just been like, hey, I've heard about this like religious group in town, and they're like here for some conference or something. Have you guys heard of them? Blah, blah, blah. Like, I mean, that's like, no, there was no confirmation of who Christopher was. Christopher was just some poor innocent bystander. Like, he could have been anyway, you know what I mean? Like, we don't know. Who is Christopher?
He could have been like the like receptionist to the building.
Yeah.
If there's like offices or whatever. If he was in the front too. I didn't even think about that.
True.
I mean,
I didn't even think about
everybody
that.
Everybody just assumed that Christopher was a purist and ran with it. And I was sitting there thinking, like,
but do we really know?
Is he, though?
Yeah.
Is he, though?
Do we really know? I mean, you have a point, Jenna. I didn't think about it, damn it.
Me neither.
Who is Christopher?
Dude, I swear to God, if Christopher shows up at the rendezvous, like, with, like, a stack of files about the building and, like, the cost of the building and, like, the history of the building and the French Quarter history, I'm going to fucking die. I'm going to fucking die.
We will eat Christopher.
No, we're gonna be like, okay, Christopher, you know what? Like,
good job, buddy. Good job.
Good job. That was amazing. Thank you for your research. Like, thank you for your time.
We'll hire you for the taco burger shop.
You'll be the manager of the taco burger shop. Okay, like, don't worry about
Free
it.
Free food on us for life.
Free food for life.
So, anyway, these are things to consider going forward. Because it's really hard for me not to punish you guys in these situations. Because I very well could just run with it too and be like, yeah, Christopher is the purist. Go for it. You know what I mean? Like, but at the same time, you guys didn't necessarily do any work to get to that conclusion. So it's hard for me to like be like, yeah, you're right. You came to that conclusion. You found the right clues, you went to the right people, like blah 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 blah, because that in that whole situation that didn't happen. You just had a random ass conversation with some dude and then asked him to follow you, and things got real weird real quick. And he just sat in the car like, what is happening? So I mean, I liked how everything happened, don't get me wrong. I thought it was hilarious. Especially I thought it was hilarious that the whole time, like, Max is just talking about turning it into random businesses. And he's like, yeah, you're right. There are a lot of drunk people around here. I'm right there with you, man. Like, I want a greasy ass burger when I'm drunk. Like, he was digging it. He's like, yeah. It's like, little bit strange.
Was, like, Max actually connected to
Yeah.
him. And I was like, cool, that's awesome. But yeah, I was like, I kind of knew, Memsy, that like you
wanted to kidnap.
You had a brain fart happening, and you forgot about the tracker. And like the entire time while you were bringing Christopher over, I was like, me, Nyx, and Sparta have the fucking profiles. We just went through this. Why would you bring a purist over here with a tracker?
And that's the thing. We immediately assumed he was a purist, and we're like, oh, he's gonna come here and he's gonna recognize us immediately.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I never considered that he wasn't a purist at all.
I know. I know, because I was sitting there thinking, like, this guy could just be some random Joe Schmo that, like, has nothing to do with this group that, like, was just hanging out on a Friday night with his guys. Like, you know what I mean? Like, so I guess my point in bringing this up, the reason why I wanted to ask these questions and sort of bring this up and talk about it as, like, while everyone was like, what were you thinking? What were you doing? Is, in these types of situations, I think that it's important to have some sort of goal in mind and being like, what are we trying to achieve? And in that moment, you guys were trying to gain intel.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And just a simple confirmation that, yeah, the purists are in that building is basically all you needed. That was the only intel that you really needed, was you needed to confirm that this was the location and that whoever was inside the building were the people that you were looking for. You know what I mean? How you go about that is up to you. And like I said, you don't need a character with investigation skills to have a conversation. You know what I mean? And I would imagine that a character like Max would be able to have a conversation with people. And, you know what I mean? He doesn't need to be this, like, hardcore, like, intimidating investigation, like, knows how to interrogate people. You know what I mean? Like, that's not necessarily what we're looking for in that situation. Like, there's some situations that is needed, obviously. But in that particular situation, I think just going in and asking the right questions, you know what I mean? And just confirming that these are the people that you're looking for. So I guess we'll find out next week who Christopher really is.
I honestly want you to break him with a stack of documents regarding the business ideas. I have brought.
I've been thinking about
everything.
this for hours. I stayed up all night. He's all, like, strung out.
It's like I just felt the compulsion of, like, really digging deep into every information I could find about this building, sir. We're going to make this business happen. I believe it.
He's got a whole, like, 10-year plan, like, a business plan.
Yes.
I've already done all of the work for you.
He has all the statistics of the businesses that went through that
Yeah.
spot.
He has menu ideas.
I did a survey.
Hey, that would be check out my business deck. I mean, hey, Memzi, that would be perfect. You would have like you could
business
also
partner.
get a goal. You could also get a goal. Look at that. That is perfect. You get Christopher, I get Scarlett. It's
Done.
a win-win, you see. Like he can be your lackey and do your businesses and shit. I have my own, and then we can go and find the rest of the viewers together.
But yeah, so we'll see, to be determined. I'm gonna roll a die, and that's gonna be the determining factor of who is Christopher. That's,
oh my god.
that's the next
Love
next theme of our season. Who is Christopher?
I guess it's gonna be that one and the Scarlet situation, huh? Because I know that you're gonna roll for her too.
Yeah, I'm gonna roll for if she
I know.
made it or not.
I know.
I know. I'm kind of sad because if she dies, I might be a little bit sad. Oh, I might just
It's
not
okay.
roll. I don't know. I'm scared. I don't want her to die. Oh, it makes me nervous, like leaving things up to rolls because it's like,
You never know what it can do.
yeah. But with Christopher, I'm like, I don't know what to do. Like, because I want to be like, reward them, give them what they're looking for. And then there's like that other storyteller part in me where I'm like, no, they don't deserve that. They didn't do shit. So it's like I have like the good angel storyteller and the devil storyteller like on both of my shoulders, like whispering in my ear of like, just give it to him,
that's
Jenna.
why, honestly,
No,
it's
make
like,
them work for it. Make
that's
them
why I think
suffer.
it's the fair thing for you to do is like to roll the
To
dice,
roll, yeah,
because
that's
the
what I
dice
do.
is like the neutral choice.
Yeah,
You know.
it's not me making a decision.
Yeah.
It's just me leaving it up to the odds of
Yeah.
whatever happens. That's why usually when situations like that happen and have happened like in the past, I just roll and see what
Yeah.
happens because it's easier. It
No, it
takes the
makes
pressure
sense.
off of like me. Of,
Yeah,
you know.
exactly. I mean, you still need to do it. Like, you still need to, tell us the
Yeah,
result.
of course,
But at
of
least,
course.
like, the final decision is not completely yours. It's, like,
Yeah.
up to chance. Yeah.
It wasn't me, guys. It was the dice. Exactly.
It
Yeah.
was the dice.
Can't get mad at me.
Hey, I understand. So it is what it is.
Yeah.
Hey, if Scarlett is gonna die, I'm gonna be very sad because I thought that like she was a great character, and it was. And I have been thinking about asking you how to go around getting a goal or two goals, a few goals, something like that, because I am going to need somebody that is more than like a human that like maybe like I entrance sometimes or like
Yeah.
stuff like that, like but it is what it is.
Excuse me. Yeah, no, I think that it would make sense for her to kind of start figuring out how that works.
Yeah,
Now that she's got.
we can do another like other things and role play like other situations, like I could ask Ashley too.
Yeah,
Be
yeah,
like,
yeah.
hey Ashley, like how do I go about this shit?
Yeah.
Like I need
Because
help.
Ashley and Penelope have goals. That's who's
Yeah.
always at their house. Like the guy who was packing her
Yes.
bags and that was a ghoul.
Yeah, that's exactly it. Like she kind of like needs somebody in the house to like keep in check everything and like that can present like for her during like the day when she's obviously not available.
Yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, it makes total sense. I mean, obviously you have some vampires that probably have never had ghouls like Leo and Lizzie. They've I don't think
They have no
would,
need of them.
Yeah.
But again, like it makes
Yeah.
sense.
Yeah.
Like if you see like Toreadors, even Ventrus would have like hella fucking goals.
Absolutely.
Hella goals. like because they need it. They are usually entrepreneurs in some sort of way. They
Or
need to have
politicians or
people,
something.
exactly. They are people that are socially involved. Like both Toreadors and Ventrus, I feel like they're clans that are extremely socially involved, and they don't just necessarily stick with just the kindred side of the social.
No, they're
They
very much in
actually
touch with human.
really like to stay involved with the social structures of human society as well, and use their power to be extra influential over there as well.
Yeah.
So, like, I mean, it would make sense for those two clans to utilize the blood bonds over humans in order to achieve that.
Yeah, I agree. Yeah, because, I mean, if you think about it, you have the Toreadors, who are a lot of, like, the artists, they're in the world, in the human world in different ways through, like, all of the different arts and creative things and shit like that, or fashion, you know, stuff like that. That's what kind of keeps them in touch with modern society. And then you have Ventrus, who they're usually like business people or political
Politicians.
people that are like trying to rise in power in those areas of life, both in the human world and in the kindred society. So yeah, they're very much connected to the human world usually, and utilizing the humans to their advantage, and, you know, using them to grow and become successful and things like that. Whether they're doing it through manipulation or not is one thing, but still they're usually connected to the human world in that way. Because
like Toreadors is more like about their charms and like their, like, you know, sweet talking and like their charismatic aura and like being like worshipped, right, as like an idol. And like Ventru is more like the manipulation, the intimidation, the
being
leadership,
feared or respected.
Yeah, we're both.
Or both, yeah. Both at the same time.
Yeah, both at the same time.
You're gonna,
Most of
like
the time.
Catalina. You're gonna respect me, but you're gonna do so because you're fucking scared of me. You're scared of what I'll do if you disrespect me. And, you know, that's a good represent that word of Catalina, because that's how she is. She's like, you don't want to cross her, and you know that you don't want to cross her because she will fuck you up. But she's gotten to that point because of how she's handled herself through her life. And, I mean, that's the thing, like, with a position like Prince, you have to be that way in some sense. Like, you can't rise to that power and that position and live that long. She's almost 600 years old. You know, you can't live that long without being a little cutthroat. And, you know, it just kind of is what it is at a certain point. You're like, this is who I am. Sorry.
Comes with the territory.
Yeah, because, anyway, crush your enemies. See them driven before them and hear the lamentations of their NPCs. But yeah, so I'm excited to see what happens. I've got a couple of plans depending on how these rolls go. I actually probably will roll today. So then I have like a few days
a little
to
bit of
prepare.
Time to prepare, yeah.
Because like I said, I have like a couple of ideas depending on which way it goes. So we will see on Saturday who Christopher is, and we will see if Scarlett is alive and what becomes of her.
I'm looking forward to this Saturday.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I
it's
think
gonna be interesting.
Why do you say it like that? It's gonna be interesting.
Again,
You sound
there's
full
like
of
two
dread.
there's two big ass variables here. Like literally, like war scenario. Both of them are shit. Okay, Christopher is not a purist, and he comes back with a stack of documents about the building, and Scarlet dies. Okay.
Yeah.
We pretty much
Failed
like
miserably.
we
Back
failed
at square
miserably.
zero.
We have some of the contacts, which is still great because we still can maybe tap into the phones and stuff like that, get the logs and shit like that, especially if we have the connection with Lena, you know, and stuff like that. Especially now that again they killed a civilian. What is a civilian? It's not even a kindred. That's actually a threat also for the police. The police could intermingle in a way where it's
Right.
oh, this group is like a cult and it's killing people that try to abandon them. You know what I
Colette
mean?
kind of touched on that when she
Yeah.
talked with Lena. She told Lena, this doesn't have anything to do with us. We didn't hurt her. It's this group. And she kind of briefed her a little bit. So yeah,
Exactly.
you make a really good point that these people are now not on our radar only as kindred, but also on the police force's radar.
Yeah.
That there's these people in town and they're dangerous.
These people that are fucking probing people with trackers and
trying to
keeping
murder
them
them
against
in the
the
streets.
will and try to murder them because
they
they're
leave.
trying to abandon, then that's a social threat.
Yeah,
it's not just on our problem.
Right.
This we can actually make it look like this has actually been handled by the human police and that the kindred doesn't even have any involvement with it, which is actually pretty good. So even if Scarlet would die, it's actually a win for us as well. I already thought about this shit. And it's good that we had this contact because again, this is how we're going to have to work with this group of people. We have to involve the humans. We have to put humans against humans. We need to be the ones leading both groups against each other. I think that I've been thinking about it yesterday, today, this morning, and I was I think this game of chess is going to be involved with pawns. We're going to be the ones moving the pawns. So honestly, the best thing that we can do is actually to lead the humans over and let them step in, if that makes sense.
No, it makes perfect sense. And that's the thing is that I've been saying is that this season is going to be a lot different. You're going to have to be a lot more strategic with how you're doing things because you're dealing with humans. And if you present it in a certain way, it can be handled by humans.
Exactly.
And you can basically eliminate the threat without having to do anything and without having to risk exposing yourself. That would be the smartest way to handle the situation. You know what I mean? Because it's the least risk of exposure. If you're just feeding information to your police contacts and letting them
it would be handled
the situation.
by the actual law enforcement and not the kindred enforcement.
Exactly. Yeah. Exactly.
Because the kindred enforcement doesn't exist.
Right. Exactly.
You know,
in the eyes of the world.
That's how we're going to have to handle this. We're going to have to be playing a literal chess game with human beings.
Yeah, and Sparta actually does have some experience with working, well, kind of against the police, but involved with the police through his work with Colette. I don't know, would Sparta have contact with them?
Yeah, at this point, because I can imagine that situation that we role played, that initial one that we did, that wasn't the only time that he sort of went along with Colette on those little adventures and whatever, you know what I mean? She has, and I can send you some information of kind of what I imagine happening with him and her over the last 2 years, but I sort of imagine him have her being hey, I gotta go talk to these people, you want to tag along with me today, you know what I mean? And not even necessarily him being the one always initiating it. It even has turned into her being hey, I'm gonna go follow up on this come meet me at this time and you can tag along and whatever. So he's like been exposed a lot to like these police contacts and these people that she sort of is keeping in line when she stepped into leadership, because that Lena chick like was a good example of her trying to cross her because she found out that Lindsay wasn't in like power anymore, and she saw that as an opportunity to sort of sneak in and try to
free.
Yeah. And Colette's like, no,
Nope.
there's a new sheriff in town and you don't want to cross me. So, you know what I mean? So he's sort of been involved over the last 2 years of her doing shit like that and sort of keeping people in line, maybe even gaining new contacts that Lindsay didn't have, you know, shit like that. Because that's what Colette has been doing for the last 2 years. Because if you think about it, like, Colette worked with Lindsay, so obviously she knew some people through Lindsay, and she knew, like, who Lindsay's contacts were, but she wasn't on that level with them, you know what I mean? And they didn't respect her in that way because she wasn't in charge. So she sort of had to step into that position and gain that respect from those people and establish that working relationship with them. So she's been doing that. Yeah, she's been doing that since Lindsay left. And she has been with all of the little human contacts, because that's important for a sheriff. It's important for a sheriff to be connected in the human community so that they can achieve what they need to achieve and like protect the Masquerade on the level that they have to. Because when everyone fucks up in the city, it's the sheriff's job to fix the fuck up, basically, and to make sure that everything disappears as quickly as possible. You know what I mean? Like, and that's why in those situations when shit would go awry in the first season, there would be all of these cars there all of a sudden, because Lindsay was really good at her job, and immediately people were there to fix the problem and to clean up and to do whatever needed to be done so that people didn't ask questions or that they could explain it in a certain way. You know what I mean? So that's what that's what Colette's been doing for 2 years. And Sparta has been helping her because he's shown an interest in helping her. So he's been along for the ride with her, gaining these contacts, speaking to these people and shit like that. Exactly. As soon as it happened, it was gone just as quick. Right. Because that's, I mean, in my opinion, that's a good sheriff, you know, that is, and that's how Lindsay was. And Lindsay, of course, had her faults and had her issues, but she was a good sheriff. She was good at what she did. So, you know, every time something bad happened in the first season, Lindsay was right there to clean up the problem before you guys even left. You know what I mean? Like, before you guys had even left the scene, there were already people showing up. Hey, Ivy, how are you doing today?
And Colette did the same thing when we had Scarlet when we were being tailed. Immediately, the SUV showed up.
Right. Yeah. So, but yeah, so Sparta would have knowledge of contacts. He would know some people. You know what I mean? Like, I think of him being a lot like, maybe not to the level of how Lev was with Lindsay, but how Colette was with Lindsay. Like, if you think about the first season, like, for instance, when you guys went to that one hotel and the cop was there and like Colette like went over and he's like, "Hey Colette, like, what's up?" And he knew her. You know what I mean? And there was like that wow. They recognized each other because she had been working in the city for that long. That's kind of like how Sparta is. Like, people, human contacts recognize him because of his interaction with Colette, you know? So yeah, he does have a certain level of knowledge for sure. And that's just going to continue to grow as he kind of goes on. And if we're ever in like situations where I'm like, Sparta would know this person, I'll tell you. I'd be like, Sparta would recognize them, blah, blah, blah. You know what I mean?
Gotcha.
Because I haven't necessarily fleshed out all of those people in my mind, so I can't necessarily brief you ahead of time. But if a situation arises, like with Lena, I kind of prefaced it in saying that, like, you recognize that it's Lena showing up at the house to meet with Colette. But yeah, it's going to be interesting to see how this season goes with the decisions that you guys make, because it's going to have to be a lot different than the first season. It's
You're gonna have to be craftier.
Yeah, it's not going to be fights and threats and this and that and whatever. Like, yeah, of course the Purist is a threat. I mean, they're a threat because you don't know what they know about you. That's why they're a threat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, they're not a threat because they're humans. They're not even a threat because of their weapons. Like, yeah, their weapons are scary and their weapons can hurt you. What makes them a threat is that they seem to have some kind of knowledge of who you are as beings, and that's what it is a threat, because they can expose you.
And we need to understand also how.
Yeah, like, how do they have this information? Who are they getting this information from? Which you guys haven't been able to get to that conclusion.
Mm-hmm. That's why I hope that Scarlet is still alive, because you know, we didn't have a lot of time, because again, once we understood that she was tapped, then like we had to kind of act like a little bit, you know, faster. So it's not that we could have stayed there and like chit-chatted it up.
Yeah.
But like, if she's alive, then like we could ask, like I wanted to ask her, like, what is the usual, because like for me also it would be good to know how they recruit.
Mm-hmm.
Because like we need to understand how to send somebody in.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Oh.
Like we need to know how to get in.
Yeah.
Yeah,
How
this
to
actually more like
get
intrigue and espionage.
Yeah, exactly. How to actually get a double agent.
Yeah.
How do we achieve that? We've tried twice, technically, and we're not winning in this game.
Yeah.
So we need to do something different.
In.
Yeah. I agree. So yeah, and I do think that Scarlet can end up being a really good asset, which is kind of why I hope she lives too. And she's just funny. So there's that. I just love her. I don't want her to die. Don't let her die. Dice gods.
Right.
Dice gods, please.
Please show mercy.
Be kind.
But so she can be a really good asset to the team as time sort of like goes on, and answer a lot of questions and do so in a way that's not rushed, where you're like having to hurry up and ask questions or like use your powers to convince her to answer your questions. You know what I mean? Like all that kind of stupid shit. You can just have a conversation with her and chill, and it's not this like daunting task. It's just talking. So yeah, she definitely can be beneficial.
There's potential there.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. So we'll see if she survives.
Also, like, maybe know if there are others like her that feel like her, so that we can tap into those in case we can't send somebody in, with the promise that if they help us, then they can get out.
Free them.
Yeah.
Or like we
and
talked
we
about
can
on the last
expose
podcast.
them so that socially they will be annihilated. That is the only way. Like, I've been fucking like thinking about it the last few days after the session, after like our chat, because I'm like, okay, we can't go in guns a-blazing. We can't go in and just be like, okay, we're gonna just kidnap all these people and like murder all of them, because that's not how we're gonna deal with this. These are humans. These people have families, they have connections. And even if they're like ostracized by their family, which usually cults end up doing, they still have families. If they disappear for real, like, they are disappeared for real. You know what I mean?
Yeah. And I mean, like, if you think about it too, like, it could even start pushing into the fact of like certain convictions can protect the innocent from harm, different things like that. Like, just because these people, like, look at Scarlet. Yeah, she's a member of this group, but she doesn't want to hurt anybody. She made
No,
that
she
very
doesn't-
clear.
Yeah, she's
she
like, I
doesn't-
don't wanna carry this gun.
Yeah, like I don't want to do this
Yeah.
stuff, but like this is like she's been brainwashed and now she's sort of been given this ultimatum of like stay with us and do what we tell you or we're going to kill you.
Oh.
Of course she's going to stay and do what they tell her to do because she doesn't want to
Yeah.
die. That's just survival. You know what I mean? Like and it's like that's the thing with like cults. People are like, how could that ever happen? How could anybody ever get involved with things like that? And it's like sometimes people don't even realize they're a part of a cult. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like they don't even realize, because if you're low on the totem pole like Scarlet, you don't even necessarily know why you're doing the shit that you're doing.
Mhm.
You're just doing it because you're a part of this group and you share these beliefs and this and that and whatever. You know what I mean? Like you might not even realize that like the leaders of this group have these like really ill intentions. That might not even be something that you realize that's going on. And so it's like when you really get into like the nitty gritty of all of this, it's like who are the bad guys in this group? You know what I mean? I'm sure you do have a lot of like actual bad people in this group, but there's probably also a lot of good people that are mixed in that just have gotten caught up in this life and in this cult, and they're just here now. You know what I mean? Whether it's willingly or a situation like Scarlet where it's like, I kind of don't have any other choice, so I'm just gonna make it work. This is my life now. Cults can be good at
it is what it
behavior
is.
manipulation.
Lol.
Yeah. So, you can't necessarily just be like, we're gonna kill them all. Like, no, that's not a very good strategy, and it's not a strategy that would work. So yeah, definitely, there's gonna be a lot more thought that's gotta go into this season, and a lot more planning and strategy of like, how are we gonna take down this group? How are we gonna protect ourselves? Or how are we going to figure out what they know about us and how they know this stuff? You know what I mean?
Because they're getting their information from somewhere.
Right. So what's the issue here, and how can we? Because at the end of the day, the only thing that matters is that they aren't a risk of exposing you. You know what I mean? Who cares if they still exist as a cult? Whatever. But if they exist as a cult and don't care about you, then cool. You've achieved your goal. You know what I mean? Like, but right now, they exist as a cult and they seem to be borderlining Second Inquisition shit of like, kill all the vampires in the world.
Yep.
So that's a problem. Because we all know how the Inquisition was, and that was good for no one, and it wiped out literally whole clans. And that's why these types of entities are dangerous to the Kindred Society. Because the old vampires have already lived through that experience. And they're like, look, we're not going to let this happen again. So we need to stop it at all cost. Well, cool.
That's the
Go
thing.
ahead.
That's the interesting thing as well, because you can take the fact that this cult, the purest head base is not New Orleans. You're not really driving. You're just literally pushing the waiting for the next wave if they're hell bent on taking you down, and they have the information. What in the world?
As we're wrapping up, I just want to show you guys the one note I made from last episode, just so that you guys can understand.
Who is Christopher?
This
1
is
a.m. fail.
Oh, this was a different idea. This has nothing to do, but with Christopher, literally I wrote next to it, with
Who is
two
Christopher?
with two big question marks. Who is Christopher?
Identity crisis. Who is Christopher?
Who is? Because I was like, wait, who is this guy? We don't know. We have a last name for him now, though.
Christopher Christoph?
Yeah,
Christopherson?
Christofferson. Thanks to Nikolai. Oh my gosh. But yeah,
Christopherson. Perfect.
Love it.
closing
Fantastic.
thoughts as we are gonna wrap up a little bit earlier today. Anyone have any closing thoughts about this episode or what is to come?
I mean, we have a lot of what ifs. Like, we have two big, like, we don't know what is going to go down. There's two opposites here that could happen. So I don't know. Like, I'm trying to find, because how my mind works. I'm like, okay, well, if this happens, then these are the ramifications and the consequences that could happen, right? And so, like, my mind just starts, like, making all the hypotheses and, like, whatever. And yeah, that's what I'm doing right now. I'm, like, trying to prepare myself psychologically and be like, okay, so if this happens, we need to do this. If this happens, we need to do that. So I don't know. I'm waiting. I'm waiting and thinking.
Now I have a lot to think about because the past 2 nights I've just been thinking about, okay, Christopher was a purist and he literally saw us. So he's going to come to this meeting and we're probably going to get a trap set on us. But now we never confirmed that he was a purist. So now I have to think up okay, he's
Well, I mean, if he wasn't a purist, that's fine. Like, he's not gonna. It's literally like we
but then
just
we're back
tossed
at kind of square
like
one. We have to find a
something
new
in the abyss, and we didn't get shit in return. You know what I mean? Like, it's fine. We just can start over. That's actually not a bad thing. If he's a purist, then, like, I think Jenna might have to, like, roll to see how much he remembers or something like that. That's probably what she's going to end up doing. Because I feel like cloud memory, like, works for a few minutes, but, like, the scene that we were in the car in, I think it was longer than 2 minutes. And so, like, what does he remember, like, you know, and stuff like that, and how bad of a situation it is, if submerged directive worked or not, you know, and all this shit. Like, that might get us more complications than, like, him not being part of the purists, to be honest. Because if he is, then yeah, like, something he's going to remember, because unfortunately, like, it wasn't, like, as fast of an interaction in the car for us to, like, kind of, like, possibly have gotten out of it, like, without being recognized, or, like, being like, hey, there was some weird shit happening that, like, yo, like, this just happened, bro. Like, that was odd as fuck. You know?
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of decisions to make in regards to this Christopher guy.
Yeah.
And a lot of factors that go into it. Because just like you said, what does he remember? Did the directive work? Because you guys don't know that regardless of that it does it work or not. And if it does work and he's a purist, what happens? If it didn't work and he's a purist, and what happens? You know what I mean? Like, if he's not a purist, what happens?
Yeah.
So, yeah, there's a lot of determining factors into what can go down for sure. And that'll all be decided by some lovely dice.
We love that.
Yeah. It'll be fun. Hey, at least you've got like a 50-50 chance.
That's true.
True.
Odds are evens, you know.
Yeah, I mean, you'll be fine. It'll all be fine.
It's fine.
You can rest assured that no one will die yet. I can at least give you that.
I mean,
It's too early in the
unless you
season.
roll bad
Apart from
for
Scarlet.
Oh, well, yeah, Scarlet might die. She's the only one on the chopping block next episode. But that wasn't at the hands of you guys.
Yeah, I know.
So. All right. Well, we definitely have some exciting things coming up this Saturday. And we'll see what all happens with all of these question marks that we have and what becomes of the efforts of our group and how successful they were or not successful, to be determined. So we will see you guys then, and I'm pretty sure we'll go ahead and raid one of our friends from the Discord. Let me make sure they're still alive. Yeah, they are discussing, I think, their new season. They're starting season 2 of their campaign. Let me make sure I spell his name right. I believe he is the storyteller. I might be wrong, though. It's Mac from our Discord. But him and his group are chatting about their new season, Prince William by Night. So we'll go ahead and share the love over there to them. You guys can say hello. And we'll see you guys on Saturday for some more action.
Hi, guys.
Thanks for hanging out with us, guys. Have
Hi,
a
guys.
wonderful night.